Hi boys, it's the couch. You may be asking, Andrew, why you dress like you're in a pajama ad? We're gonna get into it. I guess that's what the whole thing is, getting into it. Today, um, a little bit ago, I don't even know what time it is right now. And possibly the day this goes up. I don't know. I don't know if we'll be able to edit it. Uh, March 4th, 2022. My cat Oliver passed away. I never wanted to do like one of these apology style, like I guess what I would call pity videos. But that's not really what this is about. It's just this is a pretty personal topic, but I made it a YouTube thing because it appeared on the channel and I brought it up in the previous update. So I thought you guys deserve an update and figure out what's going on, and also it might help me to talk about it. No feeling sorry, just explanation. The reason I'm wearing this is because I haven't slept in 3 days, and he passed while I was wearing this. I was holding, so I haven't changed. I don't know, I feel weird. I always try to be like the edgy guy, like, oh, tell people how it is, don't sugarcoat it. So I always hated the term passed away, because like, well, he died, this person died. Passed away is like, sounds like you're trying to be too soft about it, but that's not true. There's an important distinction between dying and passing away. Dying is sudden or painful, or it just happens. Passing away, I feel like it implies just passing, like in your sleep. The bright spot is that he wasn't in any pain. He was just kind of out of it. He was tired the whole time, it's always like that. So just sleepy. So when passed away, I mean, he literally, in his sleep, just passed. 12:53 a.m., I'm pretty sure, right after midnight. The clock had struck the 4th, March 4th. I took a screenshot because I knew that what doctors do is they, like, at the time of death. We don't know the exact time, but that's when he was. I don't think it was him. I think his body was just convulsing, kind of coughing stuff up. He threw up, and then he was out. He was out before that, but in his sleep, and we were there. I was just lying there with him. I haven't changed my clothes. Obviously, I need to wash them at some point. If I wouldn't, that wouldn't be very healthy. The reason this is an update is because not only was it was in like a Cats movie review video, and I had talked about him before, but 2 weeks ago, I believe, the Nintendo Direct, it was also a video update, so I was here, and I was walking around with my phone explaining what was going on. I said I came back here because my cat was very sick. And I thought it was going to be way worse, and I wanted to be here for it. And then when I got here, it was fine. So it was a little bit, not disappointing, but like, oh, I jumped the gun. He got better as soon as I got here, which he may have just been messing with me. It's good to have like pictures and videos. Just like, memories are good, but like recorded data. And I have, it was in the little corner of a face cam, but I have the full video of, he was just on the couch when they watching the direct. There's a lot of footage of him. First time I came back, I did that as a bit, like, oh, he just missed me, so he like feigned sickness or whatever. But not to discredit anyone else in the family, because they all also are very close to him when they meet. They love him. He means a lot to all of them. Everyone's very broken up about it. But we had 3 animals, 3 pets. My mom and my older sister, definitely, like, not favorites, but closest to our dog. My baby sister has a different cat that she took with her. But Oliver was my cat. So even though not everyone could have been here, I'm glad I was, because the day I flew in, again, I was playing all day. I was exhausted already. My mom was talking, and she was like, oh, yeah, he has not moved, like, all day. Like, he hasn't exerted anything. And then when I walked in the room, he, like, lifted his head up. And there's footage of it. You're probably seeing it now, that he, like, just kind of put his paw on my hand, which he does a lot when he wants attention. And then we went to the vet and asked about this after the fact, or yesterday. That thing that happened, I guess it's the 4th. So that happened on the on the second. The third, we went to the vet, and I asked, I was like, okay, well, he may or may not feel stuff right now, but like last night he put both his paws around my hand and like grasped it and like pulled himself into it. And I was like, what, like, why was he doing that? He's never done that. And she told me, it was like, oh, he was just trying to like pull you closer. Which was a good thing to hear. It was weird. I feel like I'm gonna puke still. I don't know how. I don't know. I have not cried in like 12 years, so it felt weird. I was not used to it. That was the first time I cried in, yeah, like 12 years. So that's, if my eyes look puffy, it's a combination of that and no sleep. And I try and keep things light. You know, that's how I deal with things. But if I can't expect me to not break a little bit. I'm doing my best. So that night, like, we had just slept with him in the bed. It was very nice. It was very cute, but I had to move because I could not breathe. He like buried his head in like my eye socket and was like covering my nose, and I wasn't like breathing through my mouth. I'm like, this is great. Like, he's latching onto my face like an alien. But I was like, I need to move because I can't breathe. Is just suffocating me. Going through all the events as they transpired as I was here. I've only been here a couple of days. It's already not been easy, and it probably won't be easier going forward. So the next day, the 3rd, we had to take him to the vet, and I was holding him. And when we were at the vet, it said the good news is that he's not entirely sure what's going on. You know, he's a little woozy. So he's not concerned. He's not in pain. He can't really feel anything. And then we asked about petting. Is like, hey, well, can he feel when we're petting him? And she's like, it's 50-50. But I was scratching like his lower back and his tail was moving and he like closed his eyes. I think he could feel it a little bit. He could see us. He could hear us. He could smell us. He couldn't touch. And he didn't feel pain. But I don't know where like feeling hot and feeling cold fits under the feeling category, like how feeling that is, but like I was holding him on the car ride, I think back from the vet, because he had just gotten like his shots to, you know, be more active, or his nutrients, because he's not eating, so he needs them just given to him. And he like adjusted himself to like push himself under a sunbeam that was coming in through the car, so that must have been really nice. I didn't end up having to do it because he ended up passing, but we had these IV bags, so just to like keep him hydrated, because he also wasn't drinking. Just push water in. It's like a little shot, but with water. And I'm pretty sure the first time we got Oliver, I didn't mention this, but we got him when I was 7. My baby sister was 5. I'm 21 now. You know, this is the life cycle of pets, but I'm going to go through memories later. Just right now, it's interesting to note that my little sister was in the hospital all the time because she was constantly dehydrated. So I think, like, around the time, if not the day we got Oliver, she was also getting an IV. So, works out funny like that. There's the, I don't know why I picked this thing. I liked how it sounded. I say I don't cry a lot. I haven't cried in 12, 13 years. But there's stuff that makes me tear up or get close, and it's the 2 songs, Rainbow Connection from the Muppets movie, and Time Adventure, which was the Adventure Time finale song. And as I was lying there with Oliver in the middle of the vet day, because I had not slept prior, I was like, I just need to sleep. I was singing the one lullaby. It was like, don't be sleepy, weepy puppies, slip your slippers on your footies. In the morning you'll get goodies, puppy hats and puppy hoodies. And then I got to the end because I didn't know the like last middle part. I don't know why I chose that. I don't know why I did it, but now there are 2 Adventure Time songs that will make me incredibly emotional. I mean, the Cheers one and I Remember You already do. I guess I did that to myself, really. I think the best thing for him was, because before I was there, and I'm not going to blame them because emotions are, it's an emotional process, and it's good to go through it. You're not going to hold it back because that's not going to help. But, like, prior to me showing up, all that was happening was people were crying around him, or talking about how serious it was, or trying to give him shots or medicine, or desperately trying to feed him. I don't think he could really tell the difference, but it helps me to know that just a sense of normalcy would have put him at ease, and I guess that's the way to describe it. He was definitely at ease throughout everything. But yeah, when someone passes, you always think about, oh, I wish I had spent this time or spent this much more time or whatever. That period when I was singing the lullaby song, after that, I was like, I'm so tired. So I was just like I had been paying all the attention to him the prior day, up like 24 hours up to that point. So I was like, I'm just going to on my phone, and just watch something and not really watch him because he's asleep. And at first I was thinking back, like, man, I should have been watching him that time. I was just on my phone, and that's selfish. But in reality, that's how it normally was. I loved hanging out with Oliver, loved petting him. He's great to have around. But I do distinctly remember a lot of time, like, typing on my laptop or, like, being on my phone, and he puts his paw on you when he wants attention. He's like, hey, trying to knock my phone down, like, hey, stop doing that. So it probably, the fact that I wasn't being, like, babying him or, like, being, like, concerned, that probably helps. But yeah, cats mirror stuff a lot, so if you're, like, typing on a laptop, they want to be around there. And I guess we'll get more into the nostalgic aspect, but I wanted to pick stuff that, like, oh, I remember him liking, or, like, moments he liked. There was this imitation crab meat that it was like Pokemon, where, like, when I was a kid, I would eat it, and he would, like, be on my shoulder, and I would alternate feed it to him, because we both really liked it. And I bought some. He didn't end up getting any of it, but I put it in his. It's not a casket. He's just in, like, his bed in a bin in the garage, with the blanket on top of it. He's good. He's still very soft, which is weird. I don't know why I thought he would, like, become matted immediately, but I keep periodically going out there, which probably doesn't help. It's better to separate who he was from the body, and that's the way to refer to it, is the body, because it helps dehumanize it. But I keep going out there and I pet him. And you think, like, it is true that pets love being pet. That's why they're called pets. But it's also it's a mutually beneficial thing, where it got to the point where we were just holding his body. We knew he wasn't there, but still petting him. We knew he couldn't feel anything, but it was just for us, because it's soft. But as a kid, what I picked when I was thinking about the whole thing on the plane ride here, I'm like, oh, I remember staying home one day, and, like, you never know if pets or animals can, like, see TV or, like, even understand what's going on it. But I remember distinctly one time, like, Tom and Jerry was on the TV because I was homesick or something, and they played that in the middle of the day. And then Oliver was in my room and just watching it. And that was the first thing, and I thought it was funny because it was Tom and Jerry, which is about a cat. At least 50% about a cat. And he was just watching it. And so I wanted to put on Tom and Jerry. The way of him passing in my mind was, like, so much more theatrical, and, like, all these little moments. And not a lot of them got done. But I can find solace in the fact that he hung out in my room at night. You know, that's where he slept. And I've told the story before of, like, I would fall asleep watching Adult Swim, which I should not have been doing, but because I was really young. But I was watching stuff on my phone with my headphones in, but the last thing I was watching on my phone without headphones in that he could have heard was me watching Aqua Teen Hunger Force, which, if you think about it, we watched together, like, every night. So that's good. It makes me feel good. And he heard so much crying and just talking and seriousness. But that last night while we were holding him, and it's weird because Oliver is not a cuddly cat. You know, he loves being pet, and I carry him around a lot. He doesn't trust a lot of people. He doesn't let people carry him, but I got the privilege of being allowed to carry him. He's specific, but when he's sickly, it's weird because, like, Crispin, the other cat, is, like, he's sprawled out, you know, he's just loose. You could sleep next to him, like, spoon him, and he's just there. Oliver doesn't really like that, but in the last, the night before we went to bed and he passed in his sleep, I just held him there, like, all swaddled up, and I was watching. It was so many things. I Think You Should Leave, Tim Robinson, Arrested Development, those three, Please Don't Destroy on SNL, just stuff I found really funny. and I was like laughing, and his head was on my chest, and I could like he could feel me laughing, which I imagine helped him, because they didn't hear a lot of laughing, probably like for months. So that's good. But also, I was holding him, and then because they used a syringe, and cats have this gap behind their fang that you could just kind of put stuff in. We were doing that to feed him and give him water, and he leaned over to the right and just not spewed, but like drooled it all on this sleeve. And I'm like, okay, well, that's something to remember him. But I gotta wash this. It's this flannel, the one I'm wearing. All of this I have not changed. And I was like, okay, well, that's one sleeve. And then he immediately leaned over and did it on the other one. And it's kind of like when crazed fans meet celebrities and like high five them or shake their hand or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, I'm never washing this hand." It's not healthy for me to be like, "Oh, I'll never wash this flannel," because that's aside from it being mentally unhealthy, just hygienically not healthy. But I was wearing my leather jacket when I was carrying him in the car and in the vet, and the first night I was there, and you can't wash leather. I imagine there's a way to clean it, but it's a leather jacket, and he was on it, so at least I can know that his residual is there. Weird way to put it, but still. And also, if we're going back to like, when he was in my room as a kid, we had these, I think they're called this, little Dixie cups in the bathroom, so like little, very tiny, like shot glasses for water, and they were plastic. So we would, back when I drank water, get up in the middle of the night, like get a little cup of water and drink it. I was like, I'm thirsty. And the cup was way smaller than his head, so he would just like stick his head in it. And I remember Mom was worried because he kept like his head was falling a little bit. So I was like, why don't we get a small cup? Because the water bowl was not working and he wasn't drinking. And then like aside from IVs and shooting a syringe into his mouth, the last like water he drank was from like a Dixie cup, which it's just the little things. He loved knocking them over too. That's like, if you have a cat, that's just a thing they like doing. You're already not supposed to be up in the middle of the night, but there's water in your room, and then he knocks it over on your carpet. He was really good at knocking stuff over. But yeah, there's stains and there's smells like this. It smells fine. Maybe I'm just not able to tell, but it's technically dirty, but it doesn't. But this is going to be weird. Oliver, particularly with me, that's why it's also like, he was pretending to be sick to get me to come back. The last time I came back, he just peed on in my bag, on my suitcase, and on my clothes. He constantly pees on my clothes. It's like a marking your territory thing. So when we were discussing what to do after the fact, we were like, well, we'll have memorabilia for everyone. Get everyone like rings with like the ashes or something. Get something for the house, because he was always here. Get something that's a decoration that my mom could take with her when she moves. And I was like, oh man, I guess aside from if we even get the rings, what will I have? But at some point I want to, because all this furniture is mine, I want to move it to wherever I am. And there's a black futon over there. I don't think we used that for anything. But yeah, there's a black futon over there that I slept on in like the old basement. He peed on all the time. It is just caked with his pee. So if I take that with me, like we've washed it so many times. I don't think the smell is going to come out. But if we're talking about stuff that reminds us of him or stuff that is his, he literally marked his territory on everything. There's this one story. Let's get into stories that it was like our school had us wear uniforms. So we would occasionally get dressed down days. I'm like, this is cool. I can wear clothes. So I laid out, and something was going on in the basement or whatever. So was it flooded? I don't remember what happened, or it was before I moved down here. So I just had my clothes just on the ground. I'm like, I'm going to wear those tomorrow morning. So then I got up next day of school, put the clothes on, went into school. I was sitting in homeroom, and there were people around me like, something smells terrible. And I was like, well, I don't smell it, but you're probably, I don't know. I can't smell anything. I'm terrible with smells. It probably does smell bad. And then somebody smelled me. They're like, oh, it's you. So I was looking my best. I was dripped out, I was like, don't have to wear a uniform. I'm going to look great. And that was like the day of something happening too. I was wearing like a big jacket. It may have been the leather jacket, and I had to wear like shorts because my pants got peed on by my cat, by the way. So it was just, messing with me. I imagine he's peed on a lot of stuff down here, and I just can't. I once had, I think my sister come down here because she doesn't really live here, and say like, "Oh, it smells like cat pee down here," and I can't smell it. I'm just numb to the smell, so it is probably everywhere. It's a weird story to bring up, but the reason I brought it up is because like we had hydration from IVs and like syringes and stuff. And when we took him to the vet, it said like it was in his kidneys, but he wasn't processing any of it. And my mom was worried that he peed in his little cat bed, and she was like, "Yeah, it was just like water, like not cat pee, just straight water." And it's gross and it's weird and it's such a strange thing to pick out. But when living creatures die, they void their bowels. I think that's why his body threw that stuff up and woke us up. It probably happened like right before we woke up. It was crazy because like, not that we're deep sleepers, but it wasn't that loud. But both of us woke up. We're like, oh, okay, that's it. He's gone, and that was the hardest part. Just like a definite, just being for sure. Because like I don't like, was it his body convulsing and making the noises? Even if he was still alive and just choking, he stopped choking when his face was pointed up at me. So even if we hope he passed in his sleep, which is peaceful, but even if not, he was looking up at me. This is the last thing he saw. And I think that even aside from that, it was the last thing he saw before he went to sleep. Where was I going with this? Oh, right. So he voided his bowels, and I had never been so happy to smell cat pee in my life. That like the blanket, like he was wrapped in it, was like, that's cat pee. I haven't smelled it in so long, and he's just been so dehydrated. And what I wouldn't give to have him pee on all my clothes and ruin my laundry again. My mom was worried that us kids, her kids, would resent coming back to this house in the couple of years she's going to be in it still, because she lives here by herself now because we all moved out. And she's like, I just don't want any of you to hate it here because he died here. But I don't agree with that. I'm the opposite. I would much prefer him dying here because he lived here. Like, there's this idea of like life support, right? A dog is loses all its legs and it can't run and it can't do anything. You should probably put it down because it's in pain. We have another cat who runs around, Crispin. He climbs up, he kills animals, he runs around all the time. Oliver was not an outdoor cat. Even before he was sick, 95% of his day was just lying around the house. And that's what he was doing now. So like even if he died somewhere else, he lived here. There is no way to not associate it with the house. So this is a weird comparison, but you know the movie Monster House, where that one big lady fell in the cement and then she became the house? I like to think of it like that, but more of a positive swing. That he's just kind of around the house. Because the majority of his life, well, let's see, 14 years? That's old. But it hasn't even been 7 years we've been here. It's crazy how many things have happened in this house. All the YouTube content for a while. I talked about this before when I moved, but it's going to go in waves when it gets harder again to think about it. Right now, it's very hard, and I'm powering through it to do this. I think this is going to help. Even if nobody cares about this, it's just going to help me. I got to put it somewhere. It'll be hard around Christmas time because he was, again, similar to the water, just really good at, he would drink the water from the base of the tree and knock it over, and he was really good at knocking over ornaments. Didn't matter how high you put them. He was a real talent at it. So I think around Christmas it's going to be hard. 4th of July, which is his birthday. I originally was like, oh, we could set off commemorative fireworks, but he hated fireworks, just like me. And it'll, I think, be hard for me, even aside from the cat thing, when my mom moves out of this place, because it's going to happen eventually. Sooner rather than later, that it was so much less time than the previous house, but there's so many more memories here. I talked about it when I moved, but all the content started here. After every rehearsal, we would come over to this house. This was the hangout spot. Oliver lived in our previous childhood home longer in his life, but I think he liked it here way more. There's the little, I've been all throughout the house in the video, so I'll be showing footage. The deck outside, he would just sit out the window and watch the birds. Not that he would want to kill them. He just liked watching them, I guess. And then the window towards the door, my mom would take Stevie out, which is our dog, every morning, and he would just look through the window in like disgust. Because when Stevie came back in, they would both of them get treats, Oliver and Stevie. And he's like, "You better hurry up. You are taking too long to go to the bathroom." There are chairs he would always lie around. He always slept in the little crevice behind this one chair. He loved fire. He loved staring into candles. There's my favorite picture of him, just him sitting in front of the fire. There is no way, even if his passing was far away from here, there's no way to separate him from this house. So I think it's going to be hard when we move, because we won't be able to come back here, and he's so tied to this place. He didn't come in the basement a lot. When he would go upstairs on the deck, he would occasionally show up like down here in the window, and I would let him in. Like, what are you doing down there? Not that he wasn't supposed to be down here, but I, again, worried he was going to pee on stuff, because he always pees on my stuff. He would run down here, and I'd be like, "Oh, now I gotta go get him and get him upstairs." He would hide behind like the Sonic standee, and like the couch, like running in between, in a perfect. And you could bring up the treats and like shake them, and any other cat would like, "Oh, I love treats," but Oliver prioritized mischief. He looked out the Stevie window and he's very photogenic, as you could see in the fire picture. There's a lot more pictures. Gonna be really cool to look at them. He is both incredibly photogenic and also like pissed all the time. I think that's just like the way his face looks. He's also a very dapper young lad. He looks like he's always wearing a suit. It's very formal. He obviously peed on the futon, if I take that with me. I would bring him down here when there were wasps around, which happened a lot. There's one on the door right now. I didn't even notice that. Well, he'll leave me alone. I was like, because Oliver didn't catch birds or mice. Well, he did at the old house when he was very young. But I'm like, okay, but I've seen him, fight bugs. Wasps aren't going to do a lot of damage to him, but if there's wasps around here, I'm bringing Oliver down here as my backup. I became a really good wasp killer. Yeah, I would just lie on my laptop, and at the time I found it annoying, and I mean, I still use my laptop. I have a lot of memories tied to it now. It's right over here. And I don't have my computer set up with me right now, so of course I'm using the laptop. You guys know Will he's been in videos. He is frightened by things. I don't know why. But Oliver, like, he's been declawed. You're not supposed to do that. Don't declaw your pets, but there was a specific reason, and also, I had no say in the matter. I was a child. And he has not bitten anything since, like, when we were little. But, like, Oliver is the most peaceful cat. He's not social either. He does not hang out around people. But I think it's interesting that, like, I had so many people to call and text and just... Because Oliver, like, whenever there's a large group of people, he goes and hides. But still, all of the boys, ton of childhood friends, everyone, like, they all love Oliver. I think some are going to take it harder than others because he was, like, their favorite. But Will, like, Oliver, I remember, like, jumped up, like, behind him or on his lap, and he, like, flinched and was, like Oliver was going to kill him or something. I thought that was funny. And then, I didn't even talk about there are 2 gaming-related things. I guess 3. Put these earlier. Put it in, like, around at the old house area. Similar, like, along the lines of the mischief, the Xbox One, I think it was the 360 at the time, too. Like, old consoles, you have to physically push in the button to turn it off. Those ones are kind of like a touchscreen. You just kind of, like, tap it to turn it off, which is annoying. Especially when you're in the middle of an intense game, and then your cat jumps up on your counter and just turns off the Xbox. Just to mess with you. I still have, as a kid, like, the 3rd ever Pokemon game, maybe the 2nd ever, no, it was either Fire Red or Leaf Green. I think it was Fire Red. And I had an Arcanine and I named it Oliver after my cat. It was a kitten at the time. It was the only cat we had. Hey, this is my cat. I'm going to name this Arcanine Oliver. And that's why digital stuff like that is so important to me. Digital preservation. That even though my cat Oliver is gone, the Arcanine named Oliver, I've been transferring up through all the games and is currently in my Sword and Shield save file. So Oliver's there. While streaming Legends Arceus, I got the Hisuian form of Arcanine, and I named it Rockliver. But yeah, it'll be good that that's there at least immortalized. Going back to the Xbox thing, the boys server in Minecraft that I still have the world. I had like 20 cats in it, and one of them I named Oliver. So at least I think in every Minecraft world I had a cat named Oliver. It was important to me that was constantly a thing. And I guess going forward, every time I get a pet cat in any game, I'll name it Oliver. It's never going to leave me. They always say the good thing to do is to get a new pet as soon as the last one dies, but I don't know. I don't think I could deal with another one of these, at least not in my current state. That's all the stuff, particularly about this house. I'm doing this way out of order, but I'm sure I'm missing something. Maybe March 4th will always be the day, and I'll occasionally, maybe come back every year to tell more stories, or probably just in the comments of this video, keep updating with stories I remember. I guess let's start from the beginning. We're not working backwards, but jumping back because it was gonna go in waves. But we'll start at the first house is the beginning. Again, no sympathy. This is not like me. Feel bad for me. This is basically a eulogy, which is cool. I love public speaking. I'm great at speeches, so this is gonna be fun for me. I didn't write anything down, but if I have to do a eulogy for him again, I'm just going to say all this stuff. So, yeah, starting from the beginning. He was born on the 4th of July. I mentioned that. Hates fireworks. He also hates America. Well, I don't know. I don't know what his political beliefs are. His name is Oliver. Going over the basics here. And my one friend who was, they were in one of the sketch comedy videos, and they've been a really good friend. I don't need to out anything, but they've been incredibly supportive throughout this. Like, we were talking about it, and they asked me, like, hey, what's his name? And I'm like, Oliver, named after the Disney character, but not the one you think. Obviously, it's already an obscure movie in its own right, Oliver and Company, about a cat named Oliver. Not named after that. He was named after Oliver Oaken on the Hannah Montana show. So full name Oliver Oaken Nattens. Nattens is my last name. I don't hide it. It's fine. Here's my social security number. I love the name Oliver because it's his name, and he has outlived that character. But of all, the Disney sitcom side characters, Oliver Oaken is, the lamest one. He doesn't even have funny bits. We couldn't name him Rico. Even that would have sucked. Or Billy Ray. Smokin' Oaken. We named him after Mitchell Moose's character on Hannah Montana. Because we all liked it at the time. But our Oliver's way cooler, I think, and has better hair. At the old house, we had this screen door I alluded to before, the declawing. He would, on the screen door, hang on it, separated, all fours, claws into the screen door. And it was, a high up, I don't know if you can see this, the light's coming through, high up on the door. So you'd open the door, he would just kind of swing on it. And we're like, what? Why is he doing this? What is he, when we were outside, our babysitter was like, this is not normal. Demented cat. Again, he would sleep in my room most of the time, but also whoever's room we were in, when he was very little and playful, you would just under the covers, you would kind of put your foot up so it would come out through the covers, and he would jump at it, and then you move it down and then move up another foot. It was basically like whack-a-mole, and it was really fun. We had an office, even though it wasn't, it was just a room with a desk and a computer in it. And you know how with computer desks, there's holes in the corners that you put the wires through. And we would reach our fingers down, and he would jump up and scratch at him, or reach through the hole. Very much when he was a kitten, when he was very playful. Talked about the Christmas tree. Most of his Christmas tree shenanigans happened at the old house. At the new one, we kind of jammed it in the corner, so he couldn't, but he still managed. He would go under there, and he'd knock down maybe unintentionally, but his tail would knock down the lower ones. Yeah, he liked Christmas. Trying to think of stuff of the old. He was definitely more outside and more around at this house. He ate grass at the last house. I think I really miss our childhood house just for nostalgic reasons, but I think nature-wise, this one's way better. There's a whole outdoors there. Not even just healthier, because he would eat so much grass and then come inside and puke. It was his day job. He was as most cats are, very playful as a kitten, and then we got Crispin. When Oliver was a little older, he was not old, but it was he had matured. I don't know. I always say dapper because he looks like he's wearing a suit. It's I don't have time for this chicanery, tomfoolery. But him and Crispin, they got they would hiss and he always looked. Oliver looks annoyed all the time. Just looked always side-eyed him. But like, if cats hate each other, you would know. Like, they were playing. They like reenacted the Lion King, did the "Oh, brother, help me, long live the king," and like knocked him down. It was impressive, actually. Oh yeah, I totally forgot. With a similar theme, the basement of the previous house, there on the whole left side, covered in pee. There's so many pee stories on those couches. I had one friend who's a current BHultra member who peed on one couch. I think voluntarily, not entirely, it's a long story. Then Oliver peed on all those couches. Pees all over the place. He's very good at marking his territory, though. They're never going to get that smell out. Going over, like, footage we have of him, again, very photogenic. But not a lot of video or, like, hearing. I never really thought about, like, the whole voice thing, like his little chirps or meows, because he did chirp a lot. But I have the video of him, like, while we were moving, and I was looking back on the video, and I was like, that looks really weird, because it was also weird to see the old house like that. And he was a kitten, but we got him when we were young, so at no point did Oliver get bigger to us. It was always proportional, where when we would grow, he would grow. It's only that he got smaller. Like, at some point, a cat stops growing, and then you get in your, like, teenagers and then 20s, and he gets smaller. But he always seemed like the same size at that time. And looking back at some of the older pictures, like, I just don't remember that old house. Not as much, or at least the little details. But he was there, and we were moving, he was around, trying to find any way to put all that footage in. So then, yeah, the move happened. We came to this new house. It took him a while to adjust, but he definitely did. I was thinking before, like, oh, he can't move, but we can drive him around to places, hold him, bring him to, like, the old house, the old park. But he never went to the park. And the only thing we could do at the old house, because there's people that live there, just hang out in the yard, and all he did was eat grass. But yeah, he liked it here the most. It's comfortable here, and now we will forever haunt this house, so good luck to anyone. I imagine there's so many cursed things going on in this house. The next people that live here, they're going to find the videos and be like, oh my god. We're all good to not move on, because there's no moving on. I think it's important to remember it. Yeah, as long as I have something on me at all times, whether it's like a necklace with the ashes burn into a black stone on a ring, get a tattoo of the date on my wrist. Anything, really. So just constantly with me. We're gonna have stuff for this house, for whatever next house my mom goes into, individual things. Memorabilia. And I think this video is gonna be important. It'll be hard for me to look at the channel and see this video for a while, but when I come back to it, I'll be like, this video, I'm like, yeah, that video. Even if it gets like one view and it's me, that's not really what it's about. And I guess this is the cat eulogy, so I don't want to go in too much detail about anything else, but I might as well, since this is technically a sequel to the previous update. No sympathy. Again, this is all strictly informational. I want to say this stuff. The past 3 months, December, January, February, and now we're in March, so yeah, still 3 months, have been, I don't know of my life, because I don't really remember. I imagine it was a harder time, but the worst 3 month for like since like a long while. I got COVID in December. We weren't able to record anything. I've had more and more like recording issues with scheduling and just our apartment issues, and I am so, maybe it's just how I feel right now, because I legitimately haven't slept, but like so tired, exhausted, overworked, and I hate to complain about this stuff, because I hate when other content creators complain about this kind of stuff, but I guess this is a family tragedy that rocked and will ruin me for a little bit, is a good excuse to take a break. I need to just get it through my head, right? Because I obviously, like, rational and then, like, heart. I can't stop how I'm feeling about certain things. I need to understand, talking about me in the third person, like he's a separate person, that, like, it's okay to just release videos when they're done. I'm so worried about, we haven't made boys content in a while. And the past 3 months have been really hard because it's been impossible to record with all the boys. I haven't been able to rely on any of that. So I at least can rely on me. So I hinted at it in the previous update, like, ooh, maybe I'll switch over to just me content. But I think all I can promise right now is that there will be a Natter Chambered review editorial style video every month, and possibly a sketch comedy drawing show every month. And then I will be streaming most days. That is stuff I can do on my own, and it's I need to take I'll take a break while I'm here. I'll be here until like mid-March, but sitting around not doing anything isn't going to make me feel better about it. I need to be proactive. I need to do something. I'm just worried, like, I've built up this community for, like, the boys content. I can't switch away from that just because the boys are unreliable and, like, bail. I mean, everyone's got their own lives. This is my dream. I have to do it. I have to do it by myself. It just it turns out like that. I really rushed into the whole YouTuber group thing because I wanted one really badly. But that's not how it works. You can't get normal people and be like, this is a group. You have to all be interested in the same content creation. Where I need to be okay with the fact that I have everything to gain and nothing to lose by changing the content. I was like, well, it's the 2 years of content previous to this have been all like this boys content. I can't just change it now. I have such a big community that I fostered, and it's like around 300 people. Maybe those 300 people will all be upset, but then I start from scratch. I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So I guess that's the update. Maybe I'll upload, or at least show it, the reaction to the direct. It's going to be hard to watch that direct, too. But at least he's immortalized in videos. You know, we're at the end. I had to jump back because I forgot about the gaming part. So yeah. He's in the garage right now, which is also a place we filmed. And he was at peace. He just kind of, passed away in his sleep. I thought this was going to be a quick 5-minute thing. I was dreading it because I was crying before I came down here, but now I'm fine, I guess. When I'm in front of a camera and I'm talking, I feel better. So even if I don't even upload this, or nobody sees it, this made me feel better. Making videos and talking is my therapy, and that's what I'm doing, I guess. I should change my clothes at some point. Where was I going with this? Yeah, that, he's gone. He passed in my arms when he was sleeping. And this video will stay up. Even if I delete the channel, I guess I'll keep the video up. And it'll be hard, like I said, for a little while to see the video up, but after a while I'll be like, oh yeah. That's the date, March 4th, 2022. This one's probably going to take longer to edit than I thought. The point I was getting to was, I thought I was going to talk for 5 minutes, and the camera shut off 3 times, and then it does that every 20 minutes, meaning that it's... How long have I been talking? 48 minutes. Damn, I really can just talk. Just forever. That's crazy. Alright, well, let you guys get back to your days. Probably going to be... I'm going to continue to edit the best of content, but probably going to be a while until the next video. Oh, I didn't even mention the whole reason I'm even here. Because I didn't fly down for this. I knew it was going to happen around this time, but I came down here so we can record the April Fool's broadcast. So even if we don't get boys content, I at least want to be able to do that. Because that's a yearly tradition, but it may not... I think we can get it done, but if not, then... I'll either think of something or it'll just be worse or I won't do it. I don't want not doing it to be an option, but I haven't slept in 3 days. I haven't eaten anything since the night before because I fear that I'm going to throw up. I'm going to rest, literally and figuratively. I have to edit this video. Well, remember Oliver, I guess. Make him an emote. Put them in the comments, spam it in anyone else's chat. I don't know. Do whatever you can. Spread the word. It seems I'm only ever on this couch when there's bad news again. I'm going to stand up and turn the recording off, and I don't know how to end this. I really don't. But that's kind of the point. Stuff just kind of ends. I knew it was going to happen eventually. It could not have turned out a better way. So I'm not sad. That's not true. I'm not broken up about it. They're like, oh, if only we had done this differently. He passed in a house. By the way, he was in the middle of the bed. Giant silk bed, fucking comforter over him. Like, fit for a king. He could not have been more comfortable. He could not have been more relaxed. And that's good. That's how I want to go. Bye, Oliver. If you see this somehow. Hey boys, it's a week later. I thought I should do this for two reasons. One, because a decent amount has happened since then, and two, I it shouldn't have taken so long, but took long to edit the original. I don't want to call it a reaction, but my initial feelings, and now it's exactly a week later, so I could be like, oh, I meant to do this. It's a week later, but it's good to upload it like this because you should never just sit on your first reaction because a lot has happened. I feel a lot better because what happened is he passed, and then I came downstairs. It was like a couple hours later while his body was still in the garage and recorded it, which is not a good headspace to be doing. And I was holding in a lot of stuff. I was like, oh boy, I hope I don't tear up a little bit. But then the next night around, like, once it had struck midnight, because it was 12:53 when he passed, exactly the next night, I just broke down. It's kind of... because he was still there. His body was in the garage, and the garage is freezing, mind you. I just stayed with him for like 30 minutes. I just cried. I haven't cried in like 13 years, so it was, you know... forgot how much it hurt, like your throat and your eyes. If I look sickly or weak, I'm fine. I just... on the outside, emotionally, I feel fine, but I think, like, not guilt, but, like, mourning, grieving, your body does kind of other stuff, so I haven't eaten as much, just not at all, really, and I haven't gotten a good night's sleep, so that's why. For going through the days, so yeah, obviously we kept him there that day, so my baby sister could come home and see it, and she took it pretty well. I guess I took it way worse. And the next day, we took him to the cremation place, and it was a really nice place. The people there were really nice. It wasn't impersonal. What most people do is kind of just hand it off, but I was holding him the whole time, and I was like, I want to see this whole process. I'm not going to miss any of it. So I watched it. The cremation was like 45 minutes, so I wasn't there the whole time, but as soon as the door shut, I had to see him through the whole way. There's a lot of cool, but he always liked to chill by the fire, so we got a bronze kitten angel statue by the fire with the ashes in it. I'm going to get a ring. They had a lot of selections there, and again, they were very nice. I'm going to get a ring with his actual paw print on it with little ashes in it. I think that'll be nice, as long as I have something of him that's on me at all times. It was hard because I'd say it was the hardest because his body was still here, but I felt like a wave of relief once we left the cremation place. Not that we were done with him, but like I was hungry for the first time in like a week. I'm like, oh man, I need to eat something. I forgot one story is that Oliver would always get up on the fridge in the kitchen and then meow down at us like he didn't get himself up there. There's little stories I missed. But a story that happened since or after, his body was in the little cat bed. Me and Molly would go like intermittently throughout the night and just put little cat treats in the bed with him, just as a nice little gesture. And then we took him in, and I was holding him. He was pretty stiff, but he was, again, the hardest part was, not that I had hoped it had been worse, but if he was like mangled or torn apart or just a mess, it would have been easier because it's like, okay, this isn't him. But the fact that he was so intact and so soft made it very hard to hand him over. And there's a glass window, and it's like I had seen a family member get the lethal injection or like electric chair. That's actually way worse. It was nice. It was a nice little ceremony. They're like, oh, he's going to look a little weird. But all that was weird was that his face was smushed. But even when he's not, dead, sometimes he would wake up from sleeping on his side and all his ears would be sideways and his face would be smushed. So he just looked like he just woke up, really. So then all they did was remove him from the bed. They kept the bed intact, everything in the bed intact. And they're like, you're going to want to bring the bed and the blanket home, because of what he died in. Well, we were holding him in the blanket. So that our other pets, Crispin and Stevie, can smell the bed because his pheromones are on it or something and figure out what happened so they can grieve accordingly. And that didn't even occur to me. Like, oh man, they got to grieve too. So they took Oliver out, put him in a new blanket, put him on the tray. Everything else in the bed was intact, so we went home with it, put the bed on the ground, waiting for the pets to interact with it. our dog Stevie started making his way over to the bed. We're like, oh my God, he's going to smell the bed. He's going to figure out what's going on. And then he sniffed around, lifted up the blanket, ate all the treats in the bed, and walked away. But even in life, Stevie ate all of Oliver's treats, so you got to do it one last time. It's good to keep his stuff around just like as a regular thing to be doing. Like Stevie would also eat like his wet food, the cat food, so now we mix in the little cat wet food for him. Again, like I said, he's tied to the house, but he's tied to a lot of things. We're never going to forget about him. Like that's, I guess, what made the grieving hard, that he's tied to everything, but it's also going to be nice. I ran out of storage and the battery is still going to die on the camera. I don't remember what I was going to say, but I am joined by a special guest now. Hey, buddy. You want to say something about Oliver? Yeah, that's what I thought. I was just in a bad state of mind. It's gonna be hard when I go back home, like to my apartment. But he was never there. Like he's never been to the apartment, so at least I won't associate that with him. But it'll be harder because it's gonna take a while for them to ship me the ring. So I'll just be without it. I have a lot of pictures though. I probably took way too many. I made like a Twitter post. I made like a TikTok thing. All my grieving comes in the form of making something. And the YouTube video I said like, oh, I'm going to make this real quick is now taking the longest. I was also very down on the whole recording thing. Like, oh man, I'm so done. But in reality, I'm just taking a break now. And then one day, it was yesterday, I had some of the boys come over to just record some stuff. And I forgot, I know there's an argument going on right now about in person, like everyone being forced to come back to work, even though doing work at home is a lot easier and more convenient and more fun. But recording in person with them it's like a way different experience. Ollie would have liked that. But I need to keep this own theme. There's not really much more for me to say aside from the fact that not closure, but I feel a lot better. It is now a week later. So that's why you're seeing this on, if you are seeing this on the 11th, I hope I don't mess this part shouldn't take that long. That's also why I didn't want to record this for long, because I have to edit it for longer. The previous thing, 40 minutes. That's crazy. I've been talking for too long. But like I said, if I have any more stories, I'll put them in the comments. Just add on to this. Okay, he's meowing. He wants to go upstairs. It was his idea to come down here. But this is the last thing I have to record, so I probably won't be down here until I don't know when next is. It is a bummer that bad things keep happening whenever I'm on this couch, but it'll be hard to fly home. But I don't know if you can hear him, but I got to wrap this up. The urn looks really cool. That's pretty much it. I don't need to show anything on screen. We still have all the crab meat because he didn't, he passed before he ate any of it. So I guess I'll eat it. I don't know. Stay positive. But remember Oliver. Important member of the boys, and he always will be. All right. That's probably enough. Sorry.